In today's show, we will be joined by a guest who will be sharing their lived experience with sexual exploitation and addiction. This conversation may include frank descriptions of trauma. Please take care while you're listening, and if you're someone you know needs support, you can call the specific numbers that are on the Let's Do Brunch Facebook page. I'm very honoured to introduce my guest today.
Hi.
The brave Rebecca Whyte.
Hi, guys.
And also we have the lovely Niamh Quinn from Advocacy VSV.
Hello, Alex.
So thank you so much for coming along. Rebecca, I just wanted to say that listening to your story and listening to you speaking, one thing I want the listeners to hear what I'm saying, listening to your story and to you and the person you were pre your experience, it really resonated with me because we're very similar. And I realised how easily this could have happened to me, how easily it could have happened to one of my sisters, how easily it could have happened to one of my friends or someone I know. So it's not, as Niamh and I were discussing pre-show, it's not something that is for a particular type. It doesn't happen to just a particular type of person.
God, no, my goodness. If you really look at my life beforehand, if you had matched me against somebody, and I'm not saying this should even be the stigma, but the stigma is, you come from a broken home, you grew up in care, you've any abuse, you end up having a bad outcome, you end up with a bad man, or that's what really our culture was. That's what I was kind of brought up in. And what, I'm 32 now, and I think it's even more so the fact of that even so creeping back in. But it's like, it couldn't completely be further from the truth, All I knew growing up was holidays every single year, loads of love. There was no addiction in the home. There was certainly no domestic violence. And I'm going to be really honest if I sit here and say this. I always thought I was never going to be one of those people that had addiction, that ended up in a badly abused relationship. And if you think of it, why would you think you would end up in that? It's okay to not think it would happen to you because you don't want it to.
So for anybody listening, we just want to recap your situation.
Yeah.
You were brought into, I want to say it was a trafficking ring.
So basically, I had moved up to Lisburn and I had got into like a rebound relationship, and I did not know who I genuinely was with.
Yeah.
I had never came across drugs, partying, anything like that, and certainly had never come across police. I was scared of police.
Yeah, you'd never been in trouble
Oh
or
my God,
anything as a child.
I'd never been in trouble. No parents ever to the doors. I was a really good kid. Was I like any normal teenager that pushed my curfew? Yes, but there was nothing. And I got into a relationship and then introduced to a trafficking ring. So basically it was 4 main men, thousands of customers, and they ran and sexually trafficked women. But if you had never been in the lifestyle before, you wouldn't know if you're going to be, you wouldn't look out for or think you're going to be drugged. And my partner at the time handed me a bottle of Coke. And he had previously mentioned these men had said if he didn't pay the money he owed, there would be an arrangement made for me to sleep with him. And I was like, 20 years of age going, what the hell are you talking about here? Why would my partner want me to do that? Mm-hmm. Didn't think anything of it. And I took a drink of the bottle of Coke and I woke up 3 to 4 days, I want to say approximately after.
3 to 4 days later?
Well, I was awake before that, but that is the first time I can
You can recollect,
recall.
Yes.
I just remember waking up and my eyes being so heavy, couldn't move my body. I genuinely felt like I had paralysis. And within an instant, I was like, oh my God, what is the pain going on with me? Could feel it straight away down below. And that one night changed my life. So what we think and what we've really kind of worked out between me, the police and everyone involved what he done to multiple girls. Because I'd never taken drugs, they knew they couldn't get me to take something, and I would have then thought something was, going on, so they drugged me with the liquid morphine. And they just kept topping me up and topping me up and topping me up until obviously my body grew an addiction for that.
Mm-hmm.
But this grooming gang changed my life completely overnight. Completely.
And the grooming gang, so there's four
main men.
Four main men. And the thing about it for me, Rebecca, reading it was when I read the headline, pensioner,
I know.
and I thought, hold on a minute, that's not the important bit.
No, I know it's not.
It doesn't matter what age he is. This is a man who has committed a heinous crime. And if I was like a listener and I hadn't heard your story and I hadn't heard you speaking and I hadn't, read everything that I've read before you've come today, I would be thinking this is unbelievable.
Oh, of course.
This has happened in Northern Ireland. I cannot believe this. But like a lot of crimes that happen against women happen in the home against men. We were talking.
People close to you.
It's very, very. I want to get across to the listener today that this can happen on the toss of a coin so easily.
Yeah. Well,
so easily.
I had a house. I had a car. I was doing so well in my insurance job, like doing my insurance exams. And I went from having everything, literally. And I can remember the last day that I had everything. I can remember the last feeling of driving in my car. And I'll tell you what song was playing. I Came Here for Love, because it was one of the first years of Love Island. And my life had started to take a turn. But that was the day that everything changed. And I even get chills sitting talking about it, because it's like I can see it reenacting. When I look back now, everything was in slow motion. Wee things you would not have even picked up, but everything led to where my life went.
There was a story that you tell, part of the story where, is it the first time and you have to go to hospital? When the first time when you wake up and you realise that something has happened.
So basically, after I had woke up and realised something had happened, obviously a few days later it had been happened again, and I was basically told, listen, if you don't do what we're telling you, the same thing will happen as the other night. And that was a big thing, because the more you said no, they hurt you more. And it became a normality to know you did not say no, you did not flinch. But the biggest thing, that kind of got me with it and what you're saying, like his age, people say, oh, he's this age and, he's older. He has been doing this from the 1990s. But that first time, I was hemorrhaging so bad, like I'm talking, it wasn't normal bleeding.
This was when you woke up after the very first time.
So after the very first time, I woke up, obviously, I could feel down below. But over them days, the assaults kept happening. The barn became a very, very big pivot in every survivor's and victim's story. That was the main place that everything really was ran from. So we were in the barn. I'll never forget it. I knew I was bleeding bad, like when they said to me, we're going to have to take you to hospital, she's going to die. And I could feel myself passing out. And he said to me, he says, you open your mouth when we go in here. Listen, he actually had threatened my mum and dad's life. And my dad had to go on to look under his car for 3 months on 3 cars every single day for bombs under the vehicle, because of what they threatened to do to my family if I ever spoke out. So I'll never forget being taken to the hospital. And Oliver drove me down. This is the main trafficker.
This is
Oliver James McCormick.
Oliver James McCormick, and this is the guy recently that he was convicted, but recently there was an appeal.
So he was convicted last April
of 7 years,
and we appealed it
because he would have been out before Christmas.
He would have been, because they have never had a case. This is they even said this, the judge, they have never had this case in Northern Ireland. They had no range to go on. They had no idea of sentencing, anything. But for human trafficking, the maximum sentence holds life, but nobody's ever even got a sentence for human trafficking that way.
Yes.
The appeal won in September, and we got back up to 9 years. Now, that wasn't just for the human trafficking.
That's still not
That was
enough.
for 96 charges between prostitution for gain. That was his drug trafficking, his drug racketeering charges, everything. So his human trafficking charge was actually only 2 years.
That is
Like,
unbelievable.
Like, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
His release date for me is now next November, but there is 2 victims that have cases against him now, but he's not getting done for trafficking. They were working. One of them, some girls were working girls that came across Oliver.
Yes.
That he raped, or if they were an addiction, he didn't paid them in heroin like he did
He
with me.
exploited them. Yes.
And exploited them, regardless whether they were willing. And some working girls, like, if you want to do that job, I am all for it in power, because you're having a choice.
That's a choice, yes.
But there's a line that's crossed. And like, a lot of people say to me, why didn't you say no? You're this, that, and the other. And I'm like, honestly, like, you have no idea the fear that comes with it. They went over after my 80-year-old nanny one time that I tried to get away. It was horrendous. So this night in the hospital, I'll never forget the woman she first went down, and she says, we're going to have to pack you out a wee bit to try and stop the bleeding before we go any further. And she said to me, looking at me, and she says, this isn't consensual. And I went, oh, it is. And he jumped in, he would not leave my side. She said, would you mind going outside because I have to do an internal? And she says, and I would feel more comfortable, but it wasn't a room. He stood at the curtain, you could see his hand.
Yeah.
And she got caught trying to hand me a domestic violence card and everything, so she did. But she turned around and said to me, this isn't consensual. And I said, it is. I said, it's just rough sex, like he said. And he bounced through, and she says, no, it's not. She says, I'm going to get somebody. He came through the curtain, said, is that her sorted, ready to go? He says, pack her, can't say the other word, out. Make sure she stopped bleeding. He says, she's discharging herself. Took the needle out of my arm and marched me out of the hospital. But that nurse obviously felt there was something seriously wrong. Phoned and made a report to the police, but didn't just do that. She phoned my bum and said, I've just had your daughter in this A&E. This is breaking confidentiality and I could lose my job, but if I don't ring you, something's going to happen to your daughter. She says she came in and she couldn't tell her exactly what happened. She says, but she's bleeding from where she shouldn't be and it's not consensual. But obviously I had no phone. My mum went 3 years of checking if I was online to see if I was alive or not. So my mum, 3 days after, still couldn't get hold of me.
This scenario here, how long since you'd seen your parents or your mum?
Oh my goodness. I used to see my mum 3 days a week, even when I worked in Lisburn or lived in Lisburn. I worked with my mum as well, so I seen my mum 7 days a week. We were so close, like my family unit was so tight.
So when this incident happened of you being in hospital...
God, that was it. Like, that was the end. That was when the distance started. I didn't see my mum and dad properly for 7 years after that.
Okay.
I seen them.
And that wasn't obviously your doing, because
No.
like Niamh has told me, this is like a classic thing that perpetrators like this do.
I
that they're
went
good
from
at
having
doing.
friends and family. They do it so, and you being an expert will know, they done it without me even knowing. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then they have you so warped in the head that your parents are the ones trying to get you away from people trying to look after you. They're talking, rubbish about me. They're trying to take you away. They don't want to see you happy. And when the one person who hurts you makes you feel better,
Yes.
the same way with them when they give you drugs and let you take away your withdrawals, but then hold the drugs from you so you'll have sex with them. Like, it's all part of it. Like, and I don't ever think I'll get over the control part with men in my head. I think, even though I'm not as much anymore, but that led me to why I was so submissive in relationships, so submissive with the abuse, and even submissive to things that I tolerated in my life and how I let people treat me. Like, I was tormented. Like, women were not very nice to me.
Can I ask you a question? And it's not accusatory in any way, but it's just something. At any point, throughout this period of your life, what were the thoughts in your head in terms of like, did this seem this is what the norm was, or did you know this wasn't right?
I knew it wasn't right, but I never knew the word. I certainly didn't know the word trafficking. Even when the police came to me, I didn't know what human trafficking was.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't right, but I'm being honest. We were so warped into thinking we were heroin addicts, and that is all we were.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to them one time, but I wasn't a heroin addict, and I never took drugs. And, you know, I always had this image in my head, you know, if you've done drugs, you're a bad person.
But that's a classic thing of addiction, isn't it? Isn't that what I've come to know, is if an addiction is, there's always an excuse, or you don't think that, oh, like, I'm not an alcoholic because I don't drink first thing in the morning.
Day,
or I don't drink first thing in the morning.
Binge.
Yeah.
But I think as well, the thing that gets me, like in addiction as well, you're so convinced of your reality. But what I'll also say is, see what I seen some addicts do in them streets for money to people, hurting them. I could never, no matter, I would have rather lain died. I never had that in me. I never had the streets in me. And some people say, sound stuck up when I say that, but I am, like, I'm being really straight. I was not in the streets. I didn't run about with.
You weren't that type of person.
I was not this type of person, and I'm still not.
And you're not, yeah.
And I tried to fit into a lifestyle. I changed the way I spoke so I could fit in with him. I stopped saying please and thank you. It just stripped me of everything that I am as a person. And ones now, like girls that I physically went out of my way to help in 2 years into my recovery, giving them gas, electric, everything, and I don't regret doing it. But them same girls are the ones who would have bullied me in the street, and that I tried to save after it all, because I thought if I can save myself, I can save them all.
But you wanted to be saved as well.
I did want to be saved, and I'm being honest. And I don't judge anybody, because I wasn't ready to be saved for a very long time.
Yeah.
And nobody will ever understand that unless you've been through it. It's not an excuse taking drugs when you've been through this, because that is your coping mechanism.
Yes.
I went from taking heroin and never feeling a thing to like, oh my God, I'm in recovery. They say life gets better. It doesn't at the start.
Yeah.
It's harder than ever. But I wanted it so bad. Like I got clean 2 days after they got arrested.
I mean, that's a testament to the person you are, and the reason why I was even drawn to you and to your story. And, you know, I even said to Niamh, I asked Niamh, what is the correct way to address you or to introduce you? I don't feel it's a victim.
No, I'm not.
I feel it's a survivor.
Yeah. And don't ever feel sorry for me, because I done enough of that myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, I still have days I feel so sorry for myself, and I'm just like, poor you. And I do think, like, poor me, God, like, sometimes. But I just want to be treated like anybody else.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to walk into the room and be known. And that's why I appreciate it when you appreciate it. And even the way I'm being spoke to now, like, we're not any different. Yes, we may be a bit more sensitive or a wee bit more fragile. And if, you know, when hate comes online, we do take it maybe a bit harder, because when you're through abuse, and you maybe know this, you seek for validation. Still to this day, I seek for validation. I should not be seeking in people. But I think it's a trait that way.
But we all in some way, Rebecca, no matter what our backstory is, no matter what our history is, we all in some way do look to other people for validation.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we all there's things, you know, sometimes, because I'm a performer, that's what my job is.
Right.
You know, I'm on stage every weekend and I'm singing and performing.
Love it, and you're good at
yes,
it.
and but I continually have a thing called imposter syndrome.
That's what I've got today.
Yes.
Here.
So I have to pinch myself to make sure, you know, I'm here, and also, what I think in my head, is that what other people are saying?
Yes.
And I think it only comes with time. I suffered with that a long time, and no one would have known because of what I do, and I get up on stage and I'm super confident.
When you smile, people mistake it. It's like people say to me, oh my God, are you sure you've really abused? Because, you know, you're so positive and you're always smiling. And I'm like,
But they're not there when you're not
yeah,
smiling.
you know.
And it's very easy, and Niamh, you'll know this from your experiences with people who you have dealt with and deal with. To me, and I'm speaking as a novice and I'm speaking as an onlooker, but to me, you know, a smile and even, well, anybody with mental health issues will know this as well. It's very easy to fake it. You know, that thing where you just put on your mask to go out into the crowd.
Yeah, of course.
But then when you get home and behind the closed doors and the mask comes off, that's when the world is again shattered.
Yeah.
And I think for you, I can understand that you're still struggling. And that's why it means so much to me. And I'm sure to other people that you've went and spoke to, and you've I know you've done podcasts. Yeah. And even I hope the people appreciate on the TikTok, because that's where I first saw you. I hope that they appreciate, even though sometimes you're having fun, you look like you're having fun and you're singing and you love music, and that's what I love about it. But I hope that they realise what it takes for you to do that every day, and the fact that you're doing it not just for yourself, but you're also doing it, and I can see how much effort you're putting in to help other people.
That's really touched me. Thank you.
And even though my circumstances are not the same as yours, your story of how you started out resonates with me so much. It touched me so much because I know, and you spoke in a podcast about how you seem to steer towards older men when you were younger and as a teenager, and I was the same, Rebecca, you know, and it just, I don't even know if it's luck, by chance, by our paths just were on a parallel for so long, listening to your life story, and then, you know, it just, and even to the job you were doing before all this happened, very, very similar. And then our paths just sort of go like that. And at that point where the paths are still together, just before the break, it's so fragile as to how my life could have easily been yours. And I think that's the thing I'm trying to get across. It's not about
happen to anybody.
Yes, and so there's no judgment. There shouldn't be a judgment, because this is it's so easy on the turn of a coin, on the click of a finger, how this could have been anybody listening now today.
But see if you could see, like, let's say brought me to, like, her and her daughter have been a big, massive support to me. But, like, honestly, we were talking, I got a threat last week. Somebody messaged about my whereabouts. They were able to tell me what streets I had walked down 3 days in a row, my walk to the gym and stuff like this. And do you know, that derailed me for about a week there. But then I've started thinking, like, is it any wonder victims don't come out? I'm the victim, and I'm being targeted, like, with threats. I'm watching where I go, who's around me. If a man walks up behind me, I nearly say to myself, right, Rebecca, if he tries to do anything, and like, this man doesn't even know me, I don't know him, but because of what I've been through.
Yes.
But I think so many victims live in fear from their abusers, in domestic violence, in trafficking, in sexual abuse, in abuse with families. It's the power that they have. Like, Oliver may be in jail, 3 of the men are out, but like, they know, like, they probably sat and watched the documentary. They're that type. They know they live rent free in our head. Even though they're locked up and we got a bit of justice, they know that no matter what I do, he will always be in the background of my head.
Yeah.
And I just think so many victims are called not very nice words. If they say they've been raped, oh no, well, you must have had a short skirt, or you must have been one of these women who done that. Do you know, somebody actually asked me in my live last week what made them want me, because, like, personally they wouldn't have touched me. And I'm sitting going, is that the mindset? We're talking about rape and trafficking here, and the first thing you're going is, well, you're not my type, and I wouldn't sleep with you.
That says more about that person than anything. That's
see,
absolutely nothing to do with
I don't
you.
want the other victims that I've got a lot. I obviously got their go ahead, and I said, listen, if anyone ever asks, and they said no. Like, I'm very close to some of the victims, and other ones not so much, stepped away from. I had to keep a lot of stuff in my past if I wanted to move forward. And when I say I cut the absolute head off everything that was fueling that life for me, I had to. But I think a lot of people think because I speak about it now, maybe you don't have that fear. But you probably know this better with being an expert on it. I still live in fear, but I refuse to live in silence and fear. Like, I've already said to myself and told people, if anything ever happens to me and they say, oh, she's relapsed and there's drugs in her system, no, that's not true. Do not let it go down as an overdose, because I know I would never relapse. And obviously 2 girls that were around me passed away, lost their life.
One of them was
With a
Caitlin.
mistaken overdose. One was Caitlin, the other girl, for her family and stuff like that. There's more involved. She's anonymous. All victims
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
But Caitlin's mummy has spoke out. And
She spoke out in the BBC documentary, and
She did.
that's where we've seen you. We've all seen you if we've watched that documentary in the
Yeah.
BBC, and it is. But you have one yourself.
Yes, I have one
that-
coming out next month. So my daddy is in it. I'm in it. It's going to be right from the start. This one is going to come with a severe warning.
Yes.
I have and give the go ahead for footage for them to request certain footage.
Okay.
It is going to be extremely triggering,
Okay.
but I think the bits that people won't believe need to be shown on TV.
Yeah.
I speak very openly, and there is proof and evidence of certain customers that used to come to me, requests they would have had. This one man used to want to pay to choke you out because his thing was, imagine killing a woman. Like, some of these men were absolute.
So this could be a very different story today, and it might not be you sitting here telling the story. It could be one of your parents.
Oh, very much
had you
so.
had you not had your.
Well, they tried to do it to me twice.
I want to
They
come
failed.
back. I want to play this song, and after we come back, I want to talk about your Freedom Day.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
What you class as your Freedom Day, but we'll play this song. This is an important song to me, Rebecca, but also it really makes me feel like it applies to you, and this is me.
Okay. Oh my goodness, from Greatest Showman.
Let's do brunch with Alex J on Boss Online Radio today. Friends worldwide, one airwave. Let's do brunch with Alex J.
Hello and welcome back to Let's Do Brunch with Alex J. Just before we went to the song This Is Me, we were speaking to Rebecca Whyte, who is a survivor of a sex trafficking ring here in Northern Ireland. Rebecca very bravely shares her story about what happened to her, and also we're getting to enjoy her journey of recovery,
Yes.
which is amazing. Now, Rebecca,
Hi.
before we went to the song, I said I was going to ask you about what you would class as your Freedom Day, and if that's happened yet. I know some people may think once you've escaped from that life and from that trauma, you never really escaped from the trauma, I assume, but from the experience actually living in it, some people would think that's your Freedom Day, the day you actually escaped from it. Some people would think it was the day that your perpetrators were convicted, and some people would think it was the day where you're so many years clean from your addiction, or so many years moved on. Do you have a day that is your Freedom Day,
I do.
either now or in the future?
And I can give you actually the date of my Freedom Day. It was September 23rd last year, 2025. So that day we won the appeal. But also that day, for the first time ever, I got to speak my truth. I done my BBC and UTV interview, and I just remember, I'm not gonna keep saying here, I just remember walking out, and I said to my daddy, like, is this really over? And he said to me, what do you mean? And I was like, Dad, I've just walked out of an interview of something I had to hold in for 10 years, and I have a phone in my hand. I'm getting into a car, and I'm going home to my own house. And I think when I got home that night, and my niece was there, and mum and dad, and we're sitting watching the news with the Chinese. That's when I really went, oh my God, like I'm free. Like, I may not be free from the trauma, as you say, but I was free from like them men. I was free that I was waiting. Like, the court case went on for 2 years, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I only went to Oliver's. I couldn't even face going to Ken's, Derek's, anything.
And can you see yourself? Do you have a plan for yourself?
I do, actually. And some of my plans, like when I wrote into this year, so I wrote a letter, obviously, when it hit New Year's Eve for this time next year. But like, I had loads of wee goals. So building my platform, like, TikTok has been such an outlet for me.
Yes.
And I think like your platform, like podcasts and stuff, if used in the right way for things like this, can be so bloody powerful.
Yeah.
And like, I wanted to hit 20k. I think it was on like 10k, because it took me so long, and then it kind of blew up.
This is
But-
10,000 followers.
Yeah, 10,000 followers. So I'm sitting on, I think, 21.4 now. But I wanted to like go and speak at like maybe at an event, or, you know, just really start getting the confidence to go out there and speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never had somebody with experience there guiding me. You know, when you come out of trafficking, and I'm not saying any abuse is okay, but the level of abuse we went through daily, I'm being honest, all we knew was sex.
Mm-hmm.
For so long, my life was sex, and it wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't consensual.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly tell you, like, probably out of the men that I had no choice but to be with, like, my first and second relationship was only 2 people that I genuinely could say I felt that I wanted to sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
Because before that happened to
And
me,
this
I'd
was-
only been with one
This was
man.
way back now, because
Yeah.
your ordeal happened 7 years ago. is
My
that right?
ordeal, no, it was going on. I'm 33 now. This all started when I was 20, so 13
So
years
13
ago.
years ago.
But the trafficking really took off in 2017.
Okay.
But my ordeal, that everything started going shit for me, started in 2020. The trafficking, or not 2020, 2017. The trafficking ring from till 2023. 7 years of what the police know.
Okay.
But it was going on a lot longer before that.
And that's the other thing that, sorry, just when you said that, what the police know, you didn't report this yourself.
No.
The police approached you.
Police approached me. So in the Caitlin's documentary, there was a girl, her identity was hid, obviously for just for any victim, but we'll call her Claire. Her nickname was Claire in the documentary. After Caitlin passed away, like when Caitlin passed away, she said nobody cared. Like, we
And
did.
Caitlin passed away, for anybody that hasn't watched the programme, Caitlin passed away as a result of her addiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That obviously went through court, and Derek Brown was sentenced to 6 years. She was found in his home. But when she passed, like, when I say nobody cared, I mean nobody knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the police already knew what was going on, so her mum didn't know what had happened to her daughter at this stage, as she says in the documentary. She just got told, listen, we've found her. But we all knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin had been around Derek for around about a year. After Caitlin passed in March 2020, it went on for another 3 years. They finally got done by police in 2023. They all got brought and got arrested. But I remember sitting there and going, oh my goodness, this could be me. Then obviously another girl passed. And there was quite a few deaths in that town that I know for a fact, and any person will tell you this, Oliver's Supply was the reason for deaths in that town.
That town being Belfast.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of girls that dropped from supply that was given to them. And we were just known as addicts. That was my biggest fear. That my mum and dad would get a phone call that I was dead. And they would think
It was because of your drug.
And then
the
years
drugs.
later, they'd get a knock at the door. By the way, your daughter was human trafficked.
And Rebecca, I asked you about your Freedom Day and how eventually did you escape?
So basically, Oliver had been arrested in the June 2022 for £22,000 worth of heroin.
And it wasn't anything to do with what was going on.
It was,
Okay.
but they didn't. Well, he was done for bringing the drugs back up. This Dublin was all connected. He used to make us do drug runs. We were made to hold stuff. And like half the time, if we were asked to do it, you would have jumped at it because you knew if you were going down to collect the stuff that day with him,
You weren't having to work.
you weren't having to work. You weren't going to be sick, and he was going to give you stuff to cover you for at least a few weeks. Even though he still would have had you working for him,
Whilst you were, because they housed you.
Yeah.
They were you all living in the same house, or were you all in separate houses?
So some of the girls had their own houses.
Okay.
So we would have either been in each other's houses, ones that had housing executive houses, or if we were with one of the girls and they had somewhere to stay, they brought you a lot. We sofa surfed, we bounced around the place, or we were in hostels. Like, we were scattered everywhere. If you were his favourite girl that week, maybe you got to stay overnight in the barn. Or, you know,
The barn being his home.
being that's where his business was run from. It's where he had all the drugs, sell and stuff like that, and the police were investigating. So how I got out after Caitlin's death, Claire went and reported it. And they already had been investigating them for 4 years. From 2019 they were investigating it. But they needed just one victim to come forward because they had tried to talk to all of us. We were over the age of 18, and they were asking us with these men right there, like there was no training. So human trafficking team had to be set up specifically for this case. So after Caitlin's death and after Oliver's arrest for the £22,000 worth of heroin, he got out on bail, and the police arrested all 4 of them because they had enough evidence finally. Because in a human trafficking case, it does take years to investigate because they can't risk going to court, as you know, with a charge that isn't going to stick. There were some charges didn't stick in my case that are now helping the 2 girls that are going through it now because it's evolved and there's been education behind it. But the police then were looking for me for a few months. I was homeless. It was just after Oliver had been arrested. And 2 men broke into a B&B. Me and my partner were homeless at the time, and we were on a B&B in the Armour Road, which is a big part of my journey. And 2 men broke in, held me down by my breasts. I had to phone the police. It was all on camera because the person who was renting the room next door heard all the racket and got them going into the car and out. So they were paid to come and tell us not to open our mouth because they heard the police were looking for the victims. They actually served time and got done. So when the police came in, they had been to my mum's twice and my nanny's. And my mum said, like, they've said you haven't done anything, they just need to get you. And I was like, whatever, they're saying that to try and get me. But I knew I hadn't done anything. And if it had, it would have been something like stealing out of the Spar or Primark, I'm being honest. And they said, do you know Oliver McCormick? There was 3 carloads of police pulled in. And I'm talking like CID. I nearly dropped. I knew it wasn't just normal police. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get done here because I was having sex with men. That's what Oliver had us convinced of. We would be the ones, not knowing, by the way, for anybody listening, it's not illegal to sell sex, but it is illegal to buy it.
Yes.
And I said, what do you mean? He says, Rebecca, we know. And he just put his hand on my shoulder and he said, we know. And I completely broke. And I said, but if I speak out, I said, they'll kill me. He says, they're not going to be getting out anytime soon. He says, do you want to come on board? He says, 2 other girls, obviously one other girl had came forward and done the first initial statement. He said, we can't do it. Yous are the original girls. We need yous on this. And I do not tell me, like, I was in addiction when I went and gave my interviews and everything. I was homeless in a tent at the top of Lisburn Road, but the police had to drive past our tent 4 or 5 times a night because I was under so much risk. They were trying to keep it quiet. And I was like, as soon as he's arrested out of McGabry, he's going to know I've spoke out too. It was only going to be a matter of time. But he really incriminated himself because he admitted to the girls that were working girls and admitted to the girls that he trafficked. And some things he said in the interview room about me and the original girls. Honestly, like, we used to think he was God's gift. We would kiss his feet, thought the sun shine out of him. We loved him, and he was just trying to be a father figure to me.
But that's what Niamh was telling me. These people and these perpetrators, this is what they're really good at.
They think they've done nothing wrong, like they're warped. He said, "Why would I plead guilty? I've done nothing wrong. Sex is natural."
Let's
And it
just
wasn't
take
sex.
let's just take another short break, Rebecca,
Yeah.
and give yourself a wee bit of time to compose yourself, because you're doing absolutely fantastic.
Thank
and
you so much.
there are messages coming in here for you, so I'll read
is
those.
there?
I'll read those after we play. This is Hold On, Wilson Phillips.
Okay.
Let's do brunch with Alex J on Pulse Online Radio today. Friends worldwide, one airwave. Let's do brunch with Alex J.
Welcome back to Let's Do Brunch with Alex J on Pulse Online Radio. Now, Rebecca, before we went to that song, I told you that we've got some messages for you.
Yes.
So I'll just read them out, and then afterwards I can tell you who they're from. But so this one here is, can I just say, Rebecca, you are a very brave woman. The fact that you're talking about your story and helping us and making us aware that this can happen to anyone, you're an inspiring woman.
Thank you so much.
This one, Rebecca, is from my mummy.
Oh,
My mummy listens to this show every Thursday. And I messaged her last night and said, look, Mum, there's a lot of Rebecca's story from when Rebecca was younger that resonates with me and is very similar to... And sometimes I don't like talking about my own life experiences because I know my mum's listening.
yeah.
So I said to her, tomorrow, you know, if you want to switch off. I understand. But Mum's obviously listening, Rebecca. She goes, well done, Rebecca. You're so brave and you should be very proud of yourself.
Oh, God, love her.
And that's from another mummy.
Oh,
Rebecca, such a lady. Rebecca, thank you for having the courage to share your story. Your voice matters and it will help others to feel less alone. Wishing you continued healing, peace and support.
beautiful. Thank you so, so much.
And there's another couple of them. We'll come back to those and read those when we take another wee break.
Yeah.
So you were just saying, Rebecca, off mic there about some of the things that happened to you.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about your Freedom Day and when your Freedom Day came. We've talked about how you escaped
Yeah.
and the day that you got away
Broke
from
free.
that. How it came to light and even came to court where the police were investigating
Police were investigating
years
for
before.
many
years before. And actually, the main guy who you refer to as Oliver,
McCormick.
he was actually arrested on drugs offences.
Yes, he was arrested. I remember him coming down to meet me in the Ormer Road one day. This is before his first arrest for the drugs, and I'm saying, we need to go up to, I was at that shopping centre at the top 4 side. And he said, I need to go and get another phone. Police came to the house, raided everything, took all the mobile phones, but couldn't find anything. But any drugs he would have had there, he wasn't stupid, he knew. And any of the girls, if they started being questioned about Oliver, we would have went and fed that back to him again through fear. You know, they know that's what will be done. And I said, right. And nothing really came off that. And it was a few months later and it came up. We knew Oliver, and this scares me. Me or another girl was meant to go down in this trip with him. And something said to me, don't go. And I phoned him and I said, I'm too sick. He said, no, you're not. He says, sure, you'll not be sick when we get down there. I says, I'm not going. I says, and anyway, sure, it means I can do a couple of jobs up here. But something, honestly, I've never had a feeling.
So the
over me
feeling
like
that you had actually was even to the point where
I knew not to go no matter
you
how
knew not
sick
to
I
go,
was.
and also you were willing then, the thing that you hated doing, you were willing to stay and
Yeah,
work.
because I hated going to Dublin because obviously he had ties down there, men down there that knew women were being brought down to carry drugs, and maybe was sure if they wanted an appointment with you while you got down there.
Okay.
So it wasn't just the fact of feeling I shouldn't go. You used to dread it.
Okay.
And even though you knew your sickness was away and you were going to be looked after, you knew what came with that. And nobody heard from him, went overnight, and I got a phone call, and it was from one of the girls saying that Oliver had been arrested just before he came up over the border, about to go over to the toll bridge, I think it was, for £22,000 worth of heroin, and they set his bail at £15,000. But obviously the police, I don't know, obviously it's cross-border, it's different. So, but it managed to hit the newspapers up here, and I think that's when the police really started closing in. So he was out from the June 22, and he didn't get arrested until the April 23. He came
And
back
even-
up to Northern Ireland from Dublin, had the £15,000 bail, and was still out in Belfast for 9 months after that.
But even the fact of giving the sum for the bail to me is just
Well, this
unbelievable,
is what
because
goes in my head, because where did he get the cash to pay the 15,000?
but also for the offences that he was arrested for.
I know.
I mean, that's a very, very minimal amount of money, I would imagine,
And
for
listen,
someone involved in that.
there would have sometimes been not just his car went down, there would have been a few. He got off with what they found on him that day. That was nothing. And,
Okay.
I can say that, hand on heart.
Okay.
That was absolutely nothing. And I think they knew that.
Yeah.
But I think that arrest down in Dublin was able to highlight a lot more for police.
So the thing we're talking about drugs, and the fact that, the catalyst for this is that they got you so addicted to the drugs that you became dependent on them.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of, and from what I understand in speaking to people who've been in situations of coerciveness, or when gaslighting and all's involved and things like that, it seems to be a common trait that they become indispensable to you, and
because we need them. They're disposable, yeah.
Yeah, and you totally rely on, and they become your world, because they are your everything.
And then you're scared, because see, if I woke up sick and said to him, I'm too sick to do a job, like, there was either any jobs I done, I was either highly in withdrawals to point my third day in, and your third day in the heroin is awful. Maybe haven't slept for the past 3 nights. You don't know whether to sit in the toilet, put your head down it, restless legs, and I'm not talking about heavy restless legs, that fidgety where you can't, your arms go at the sweat. And so he knew. And I'll never forget the first time he held off my supply. I think I was only about 6 months into it, and the bit of the old Rebecca, because I was very feisty when I was younger, very, very quick with my tongue. I wasn't a fighter.
You're a very astute, smart lady. Like, that's really evident. Like, no matter what else,
Thank
and obviously you've always been very smart and switched on and very astute. You may not have been street smart, as you said.
I wasn't street
but
smart.
you certainly are very, very smart lady.
But why should any child have to be? Do you know what I mean?
No.
See, when you think of it, yes, obviously, it is good. I think looking back now, like, I was born into a Rathgill estate, and I loved it. First 6 years of my life, I loved Rathgill. And then my mummy got a better job.
Is that Bangor direction?
Yes,
or?
it's
Okay.
in Bangor. I grew up in Bangor.
Yeah.
So then my mummy moved us to Ashbury. And, like, regardless of whether we were in the estate or Ashbury, it was, we loved life, and our home was the same no matter what. But I didn't have the street sense. Maybe if I had stayed in the estate, I would have, hung about with the same people that I was running with. And I would have had more, like, socialisation. When I moved away from Rathgill, I really lost connection with all my, friends that I would have went into school with, because then we were moved school. And now, like, I would see a lot of them, and I would actually speak to a lot of the ones that I knew and knew me way before the drugs, but they would even tell you, like, I had no street sense whatsoever.
But then, Rebecca, from the story you're telling me, and this is just I'm looking in from the outside.
Yeah.
I cannot, I can't fathom or comprehend or even draw a comparison to my life to your situation or anything, any trauma that's ever happened to me. To me,
Never minimise yours, but
I could not, but I could never say to you, oh, I know how that feels
Yeah.
in any regard. But what I can tell you is, from what you're telling me, and from my brief conversation with Niamh before you came, it wouldn't matter how street smart you were.
No,
I
it
think
wouldn't.
this would have happened.
there was girls on the streets in Belfast before Oliver that
Yeah.
were homeless that would have been street
And that's what we
smarts,
want to
and it
tell.
happened to them.
That's what we're trying to get across to listeners.
Mm-hmm.
You could be brought up in a mansion and you could have all the qualifications
In the
of the
world.
day. You could be having a really high powered job. It could happen to anybody at any age,
100%.
at any stage of their life.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is.
Because there's the evidence there. All the girls were from two different sides of the world. Some didn't have what I had and grew up and, knew what it was like to be homeless, and they had to have their wits about them, like I did when I went on the streets. You have to become aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
You've no choice. Where they would have had the sense and maybe noticed signs differently to what I would have, knew how to talk to the dealers so they weren't taking, you know what I mean, that bit more smart ways, where maybe I would have had more skills in, like, when it comes to, like, a job, like loving family, stuff like that. And, like, the girls, we always joined in that, because in the centre, no matter where anybody came from, we were all going through the trauma of what had happened to us.
Can you tell me, Rebecca, from your point of view, because you talk about it quite openly, about the help and the help you got and the help that you didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously now have a good, you've still a long way to go in your journey, I imagine.
100%.
But you obviously have a good idea of what, after the fact, would have helped you. Because I feel that there are big gaps and big holes in the system.
Oh, big time. Any help I got, I had to source myself.
Yes, which isn't right.
No.
So what can be done in your eyes, or what should be done, or what would, say someone listening now today has the power to put in place all of the things? Like, do you have a list of things that would, in your head, that would have helped?
I think what I'm wanting to do is, my aim for the future is having a drop-in centre where victims can drop into daily, get their clothes washed, get sexual health tests. I would love to put, like, a vending machine in with the clean needles. A lot of places are now rolling that out.
And this is a drop-in centre for people with addiction?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would love it to be, and not just addiction, I would love it to be for trafficking victims, sexual assault victims. There's not a safe place for women in Belfast to drop into if you're living on the streets, to go and get sanitary towels, to go and get a shower, get your clothes washed, go and let people know what's going on. When I came out of the trafficking ring, like, I only got help last June by putting a video on TikTok asking, and Flourish, that are they're fantastic. They work with trafficked women who are from other countries and from Northern Ireland, and they are just off Queen's University. But they paid for, it's not a normal counselling, therapy sessions for me, which is a very, very intense therapy. They got in contact. They got me involved with groups. They got me involved with counselling. Then a gym from Bangor reached out to me. Only in the last year. I was clean 2 years, but I wasn't living. I've only been living the last 12 months.
Within that 2 years, before you started to live, so with the 2 years after and preceding this even today, what were you doing? Were you just at home?
My life was awful. I didn't leave the house. Okay. I moved to Enniskillen, and I wanted to be clean that much. After my nanny passed, my nanny was a very big pivot in my addiction. My nanny was the one on her deathbed said to me, "Everybody knows now, I'm giving up my life for you to live yours. Promise me you will not stop this court case, and promise me you'll always do it." And, like, that was the woman that went and met them in a car park, and they told my nanny she had to pay thousands of pounds and all for them to leave me alone. She didn't know I was being trafficked. They were doing it behind my back, saying, "Don't tell her, we'll hurt her." My nanny went and met them in a car park in Lisburn, and handed them £1,800. She was that innocent lady. She asked them for her receipt so they wouldn't come back near me, not knowing they had me the whole time. But for 2 years there, it was getting clean, staying clean, staying on my medicated assisted treatment and getting through the court case, because I was doing it on my own. It was in the headlines, but nobody knew it was about me. People were still making up lies, saying I had done this in addiction. I'll actually give you an example. I was done for misrepresentation by fraud, because a man was family seen a lot of money going out of his account on a weekly basis to me, and he told them that he just met me randomly and I made him give me money for the last year. He was actually a customer.
Okay.
But it went in the paper and people put it out that
You were stealing from him?
that I was stealing. And it was when I lived in Rathgill in Bangor. And I have not, the first time I've ever spoke about that, I have never tried to justify that it wasn't me. I had been sitting, now had the man give me money, yes. But that was so I wouldn't tell his family that he was coming to see a girl who was being drugged and made to have sex with him. The whole family reported me to the police. I went into the police. They asked me in the interview, was there any sexual, thing? Obviously the police knew. But I was that scared.
Yeah, you
Because
couldn't
of who
speak
his
about
family
it.
was.
Yeah.
So I didn't, and in the statement the police said there was something funny. She wouldn't even answer, she wouldn't say no comment. Well, in the court, when it all came out, what happened to me, well, I was finally standing there and they were handing me my sentence. And I said, hold on a minute. I said, I know this isn't going to change it now. I said, but you do know he was one of the customers came out. It wasn't just me he was doing this with. Somebody in the community centre had noticed things on his phone and started noticing things he was talking about. I have seen him from it. And
how face to face?
face to face, yeah.
And how was that, or how did that come about?
He flapped and ran over and told his church friends that I was the one who took the money off him.
Okay.
And 2 of his church friends came over to me and said, we know there's more to it and we don't bother with him. And we don't like him around us because he's a creep. But the whole of Bangor Town at one point was calling me a thief. I was robbing people. I hadn't been in Bangor for nearly 10 years. On and off to see my family, yes. But I had been lying in a cell for 3 months. So any money that was going into my account was not because I was asking for it. Do you know? And my mum said to me, would you never say it wasn't you and tell the real story? And I went, you know what? No, I won't. Because if people wanted to believe that about me, it's easier than believing something actually happened, I think, sometimes.
Yes.
And this happens to, like, I went to prison and a lot of the girls went to prison. I'll actually tell you what I went to prison for: stealing a pair of 3-pack of pants, £3 meal deal out of Spar, a pair of shoes out of Primark, and there was a couple of other wee things. Why did the police not have the initiative or the training to ask 2 young girls why they were stealing sanitary towels, knickers, socks, and like, there's no way them police couldn't smell us. Like, these very men dictated if we washed. And it sounds disgusting, but the dirtier the better, the more they knew they had abused you. It's horrendous. And the thing of it is it's still going on. 3 of these men are out. Ken Harvey is back to the area that he trafficked me from in Queens. Facing Queen's University.
I saw that recently. That's something that you have
2 days ago.
You have been objecting about him being so close to the university.
Let's do brunch with Alex J on Boss Online Radio today. Friends worldwide, one airwave. Let's do brunch with Alex J.
Hello, welcome back. So we're here with Niamh, Quinn and Rebecca Whyte. Rebecca is a survivor of a sex trafficking ring that happened here in Northern Ireland, and also she has overcome and is overcoming addiction, and she's on her healing journey, and she's been sharing her life experiences with us. Now, thank you so much to those who have dropped in some messages today. So it's Let's Do Brunch with Alex J, and the thing about it is, ladies, I decided the last couple of weeks I would make a little brunch because
has.
the first few guests had a little complaint about no brunch.
Oh, right, okay.
And my thing was, how do we talk with our mouths full? You know, so it is a long day, so we've decided that might be the best thing to do is just to supply
Well,
lunch.
they're gorgeous.
lunch.
They are very much appreciated.
So my friend Paulette's listening, and Paulette and John, if you're listening, I have shared this funeral sandwiches out, the chicken and
they're
grape
stunning.
sandwiches, as they're now known as funeral sandwiches. So there you go. We have had some lovely messages from people listening to the show, and Rebecca, the main thing that they're saying and that's coming across is you are really inspiring.
Thank
You're
you.
very inspiring, and also a lot of them are thanking you for bringing this into the spotlight. And like me, and like a lot of people listening, like never would have dreamed that this could happen on the doorstep,
know.
because human trafficking, and certainly for exploitation services and those scenarios, we always think that it happens to people who are brought in from another country.
Oh, that's what I thought.
And that they that it wouldn't happen to someone that we know, or someone that has a normal everyday life.
Even the charity I work with in Belfast, and this is for anybody who's listening, because if there's any type of abuse, you don't have to be trafficked. If you've been raped, if you've been assaulted for years, Flourish I'm actually holding a coffee morning, my first one next Wednesday, the 18th of March, through the trafficking charity that helped me. So you can be from another country, you can be a recovering addict who's came across abuse, you can be from anywhere, and that's why obviously I try and bring it to TikTok now, and I'm growing slowly, but I want to actually be in. There's not a thing for local women there.
Yeah.
And it's not there, and they haven't had no experience with this before. Even, yes, they've had loads of experience in trafficking, but never from within our own. So I think it's been even an eye-opener for the charity that I work with. You know, I work with a lot of outreach support workers now that worked with me. There's now a drop-in centre or a hostel in Belfast for only women, and it's called Glenview. And my old social worker said, like, Rebecca, we are reporting their registrations. We are stopping them. We've had to shut down the building before because they're going to the door. Like, it's horrendous, and trafficking is so horrific in Belfast. Like, trafficking isn't just the sex trade, it's the things that come with it. It's the evilness, the callousness, the intent behind it, how orchestrated it is. These men didn't get caught for 30 years. But it's unsettling the amount of women that have messaged me that they assaulted when they were kids, that they went to court over but got off on the charges 20 years ago, but now they're done for the human trafficking. Little children that were told they would never be believed against them. Like, it's unbelievable the amount of people have reached out to me. Evidence they've been doing it from the 1990s. Their daughter died in 2021 in Lisburn of an overdose.
You're talking about people coming forward about
Yeah.
your perpetrators.
About our perpetrators. One of the perpetrators is still actively running Working Women. Police are aware of it. Any groups that are now concerned parents, they have reached out to me. That they are seeing these men barred from a spa 4 weeks ago for going in behind a 13-year-old girl in his dressing gown with no boxers underneath and grunted behind her. They had to bar him from the spa and phone the police. Like, this man has trafficking convictions. Then there was a woman I had to phone the police over about 5 weeks ago. One of my friends from the streets, we found out she passed away, and one of the men that was involved with us seeked her out that day at a hostel and was threw out of the premises because the woman took a breakdown when he was there, and unfortunately she was found overdosed the next morning, 3 days out of prison, had been clean for a year.
So the after, it's not even what happens during. So
It's
I just
after.
want to make it clear as well that a lot of these things that I've been reading about human trafficking, and the women that are brought in, or people that they're brought in and then are used for as exploitation. Now, exploitation can mean what happened to you, which was drugs, was sexual
work,
for working, and a lot of the times, 99.9% of the times, there's no money given to, although money changes hands, there's no money given to the worker
the customers
themselves.
and the men arranging it. The money passes.
Yeah.
Now, if we were ever handed money, that means we were one of the trusted women.
Okay.
So, I was one of the first girls. There was one girl before me. I was really the second girl. And it from the very, very start that it started in Belfast.
Yeah.
And when I look back now, the planning that had to go into this, but also the help that was given to these men. For every customer that turned up to an appointment when I was lying either in withdrawals or completely incoherent that I could not say yes or no, you should be ashamed of yourselves, because you were able to get up and walk out of that appointment after what you done to me and still carry on what you done to me, knowing that you're either handing me, sometimes Oliver would have given the customers after they paid the bags of heroin to hand us, or as soon as we done the job, we were drove back to meet Oliver, or Oliver picked us up and the money was straight given to him. So, for example, a normal rate of a working girl, I know some working girls done it willingly, that were getting £400 for a couple of hours. And maybe there was a pretend rape. There was some customers that wanted to pretend rape women, would have paid £500.
And this is women that aren't being exploited in terms of, like, but I
It's
suppose
not
in
that
any way, I feel it's all exploitation.
110%, but
But
they're
in a
willingly
different,
do it.
yes, they're
So
doing it.
they're not being trafficked. They're in a safe environment. And I remember the girl saying to me, "You're mad. You're doing 4 hours work and sometimes getting 2 bags of heroin." She says, "Rebecca, I'm sitting doing 2 hours work and getting £400 cash, and I'm making my own decisions. This girl loved it. That's what she wanted to do." And I actually think she still does it.
And the thing about it is that, as you stated earlier on, it is not illegal for someone to sell sex,
it's
but it is
illegal to
illegal
buy
to
it.
purchase it.
Especially
to pay
like
for it.
there's a website called Lecanto, and this is how the buyers got us. So there was, my face was on it once, and then he freaked out in case anybody knew me. But we were advertised on the website, our bodies. I was advertised as a curvy girl. And I'll never forget, my picture was a black lingerie bodysuit. But people are looking at that photo going, she looks alright. But hold on a minute, mate. There's a man telling me what to do in the background of the photo. Like, people don't see that. Now, I'm not saying every customer that paid for sex was bad. There was some men that came in and seen the state of me. I've told you this as well. That went, I cannot do this. This isn't right. And have left. And I would say freaked out, nearly sick.
Because of the condition you were in, because of the drugs.
And the man's specific words were, "I didn't pay for this.
Okay.
I did not pay for this." Sometimes there was just men that were customers and got caught in the crossfire of it, because it was all business to Oliver. Oliver didn't give a shit. Excuse my language. So yeah, the appointments were arranged. You had a phone. It wasn't an internet phone. The advert was put up through the internet, but then your phone was maybe something that only texts and
A text message,
came through.
okay, yeah.
If you needed to send any photos, obviously then you had to use a smartphone, which 99% of the time, us women in addiction, homeless on the street, are not going to be carrying around
a smartphone,
a 70, 80 pound phone, because if we did, I can guarantee I was going to cash converters with it. So yeah, it was very well orchestrated. Appointments to and from. There is terms, words, and this is what I want people to be aware of as well. If you ever see a homeless girl on the street and she is on the phone, or somebody is standing beside her asking her, "Do you do an in call, or can you do an out call for me? My car's down the road." You don't get involved in it. You simply ring 101 or you ring 999.
So if you're walking past...
So, for example, a lot of people who would have recognised me being homeless probably go to themselves now, "God, I heard them terms." So there's terms for working girls.
Okay.
If you're homeless on the street and one of the customers wants to pick you off the street corner because you've been told to go there,
It's called an in-call.
an in-call is where they will put you in the car and take you to their house or wherever they want to take you, or even across the hotel on the Dublin Road, in case if any of the creeps are listening today, but that's where they take you. And I was actually arrested from that place one night, and you know, the customer was standing talking to the police, acting like he didn't know me. And the police asked me in front of him, do you know him? And I couldn't answer. And it wasn't until we got back to the custody suite I said, yeah, I do. And he said, how do you know him? I said, I have sex with him for my addiction. And even think back to that, why that wasn't followed up. Like, how hotel from the police that night, because I was in such distress with a man. But in calls, if you ever walk past a homeless girl and you see a man lurching over them, they look uncomfortable, see it, say it, save a life. See if you see it and it looks funny.
See it, say it, save a life.
That's my term, yeah.
Okay.
So see it, say it by picking up the phone and reporting it, and you're potentially saving a life.
Okay.
If you see like in calls, out calls, they are talking about, that is trafficking and putting terms as well. To me, obviously working girls use them terms, but
Yeah.
if a girl is lying on a street corner and a man is saying, get into my car and we'll go for an in call or an out call, they are signs to be very aware of that way.
See it, say it,
Yeah,
save a
I'm
life.
trying to get it hashtagged on my page at the moment. I'm
Well,
really
let's
trying.
let's do that. Let's do
Um,
that. I'll start hashtagging it with every post I put up. I'm going to
Okay.
write it down because, and any of the listeners and anybody that follows me on social media, see it, say it, save a life.
And if you don't know my platform, if you do it and you just want to tag me in it, mine is Rebecca.Whyte8.
I'm going to share your social media and your TikTok and all when at the end of today.
Perfect.
I'll put it all on because I want to put some other information on that. Just as we've been talking, some things have just come up, and I feel that it's very important that we have the information there.
Yeah.
Rebecca,
For them to reach out.
Yeah.
we're going to talk to Niamh, because Niamh can fill in from her side
Yeah.
what she has experienced, and also what there is out there, because like you have said, you had to do a lot yourself, and there wasn't really anything in place.
And
that
it's not the people's
and it was
fault.
due to
They're working
inexperience.
with what resources they have.
And
as
hopefully, not that anybody wants to be a training field, but hopefully your experience here and the experience that you've come through, and the girls alongside you and everything that has happened now,
Yes.
I'm hoping that this will set some kind of a bar
Yes.
where they keep and that they keep adding to it, because I feel that sentences, that initial 7 years and then now 9 years, another 2 years
still
added
not
on,
justice.
it's not enough. It's not enough.
It was an extra 11 months in a prison cell, and he actually stood up in court and went 3 meals a day in a bed. Says it's an extra year.
And I kind of feel in general that the criminal justice system in our country and right across the land,
Consequences don't match the crimes.
yeah, and you know, the general feeling is for a lot of people is that, exactly what you said, it's free board and lodgings.
110%.
And I feel
it's
that
too good for them.
I feel that even our life sentences are not long enough.
Life isn't
know,
life. Actually, the judge said in the case, if it was America, in some states you would have got the death penalty.
Yes.
And definitely been in for the rest
Yeah.
of your life and seeing out your pensioner years in a cell.
Yeah.
Like, they actually give him a year off for his age.
Can we stop referring to? This is a broad appeal to the media out there. Can we stop? First of all, sensationalising this story and these stories, and sensationalise and making these men or these people,
The headline.
yeah, and to describe this person, this perpetrator, this criminal who committed a heinous crime, and not just once, years and years of this, to just refer to him as a pensioner, that's just it, to me.
He's not a pensioner, because
Age.
pensioners don't do that.
But age doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he is
No.
19 or 99. He committed a crime on numerous occasions.
For years.
Heinous crimes.
From the
heinous
90s.
crimes. Yeah. So can we just, media, stop reporting him as a pensioner, because, he's not. And
Report him as a prolific serial rapist or
Abuser. There's
taking
lots
control
of
of
things.
vulnerable women.
Just before we go to Niamh, Rebecca, I just want to ask you a couple of things, more personal questions, because I've been watching your journey online and in admiration, and we talked about it off mic there, that you actually not just are on a healing journey with your mind, but also your body.
Oh, 100%.
And you have done amazingly well in a year. You've lost weight.
4 stone, yeah.
4 stone you've lost, and I can that resonates with me because I've been on my own journey of weight loss as
6
well.
stone, haven't you?
6 stone, but yes, but not having the barriers that you've had to come through and the things. Mine was purely for my health, in terms of I had a bit of a scare with my health, and that's why. But for you, I can only imagine mentally the achievements that you're making must seem like
The
huge.
gym saved me. I didn't realize how lost I was 2 years into recovery until I looked back to this time 12 months ago. I was not living for the first 2 years.
Yes.
May have been clean, but I really wasn't mentally any further on from the day I left the trafficking. I still lived in fear, got my own home, but I still don't sleep the light off. Like, I went through a stage up at 30 years of age. The night terrors that bad. I was waking up and wet in my bed. Like, it was horrendous. To the point, like, my mum literally had to sleep on a bed beside me, to the point my night terrors that bad. She had to be beside me. They couldn't wake me up because the doctor was scared of me taking a heart attack through the panic. I was scared of it.
Can I just say, your night terrors to the trauma that you've talked about today, but also off mic, you've described some of the things that happened to you, physical things that happened to you, that was done to you, and you know, they are horrific.
I think where I'm at the moment, for a few months there, I was wanting everything I could get done to my face. I want it done. Now, I'll still do wee bits anyway, but I have burn marks. And somebody actually came into my live a few weeks ago. There was only a few people ever knew what happened to me while I was burnt, and they came in and asked me how my burns were. And I just thought, you know what? So yeah, I struggle. I just don't have the mental side of it. I have a lot of scars in my body where people can't see. And every one of them scars, I could tell you the time, the place, and I can still smell where I was. Like, it's very weird. Like, if a mechanic's van comes up beside me and when I'm sitting in traffic, I have to roll up my window because it reminds me of his car yard. You know, a man came up behind me not so long ago, weirdly, in Iceland. And because I didn't see him, like, for a while, my dad wouldn't even hug me at the start because I flinched at my own dad.
Well, even today, you know, Karen's in the studio today helping us out, and even Karen said, you know, I don't even know if Rebecca will want me to make her coffee or her tea. She may want to do it herself. And would she want to take a bottle of water off me? She may want to have just brought her own.
And I was like that for about the first, up until I would say the last 6 months. But even when I went into a soft play with my wee niece, I brought my bottle of water with me. A Coke. I think that's what put me off drinking Coke. See, if I ever want a fizzy drink, I have to drink a can. Like, it's weird. It's just triggers. If you're in my, like, if I feel safe and comfortable, things like that, I have to say, and I know other people might be weird. Would it take it off a man? It sounds really, really strange.
It doesn't sound strange at all. That doesn't sound strange.
I think it would be completely different.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying women
strange at all.
don't do it, because I know there was a woman involved with our case for years. And for certain terms, I can't mention the name, but it will come out. But this woman used to drive us to and from appointments. And, you know, as a woman herself, it makes me sick because has her own kids. She'd be maternal.
Yeah.
And she didn't care as long as she was getting paid 50 quid to drive us to our next appointment for them. And still...
And would she have known, Rebecca, because we're getting a bit sidetracked because just as you say that.
Oh, she knew.
That
She
is her.
texted me last week apologising about it all.
Right. But at the time, did she know that this was all under duress? She didn't feel that it was voluntary in any way.
Oh no, she knew. She actually had to contact the police again last
So she
week.
knew it was all under duress.
Yeah,
That's very
remembers
hard.
the first time it happened to me. Remembers the first time she met me, knows all the locations she used to drive me to, knows where they still live
And she
now,
knew that
still
all of this
bothers
was
with
not
them.
consensual.
Yes, she knew.
See, that's hard for me. I'm not a mother. I don't have children. I'm 50 years old. I don't have children.
You're not 50.
But I do have nieces and nephews. And actually, I don't have nieces.
You've nephews.
That's where my head is. I have nephews. But I do have nephews, and it goes beyond the realms of my thinking. How could someone who has any kind of maternal, because I do have maternal instincts even though I'm not a mum.
Oh, I'm the same.
How could anyone with maternal instincts at all, anyone with their own children, or
Well, now she feels, basically, I think she feels by writing to me, it took the guilt off her.
yes, it was for her
Oh,
guilt,
aye, it was
to
for
ease
her,
her
it was
guilt,
for
not
nobody
not for
else.
you, not to help you. So moving forward to the Rebecca, if I ask you in 5 years from now,
Yeah.
what would be your ideal picture of your life? You know, who would Rebecca be in 5 years from now? We know you have aspirations and you're achieving those goals of helping others and setting up, you want to set up the drop-in centre and things like that. But for Rebecca herself,
God, if I had the money and the expenses, I would be away. I think I would be away living my life. I think I would do a bit of travelling.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 years, I know, and I will manifest this, I will have the drop-in centre open.
Yeah.
And I do truly believe it will become a very big success because it's more than just me. It's women. And unfortunately, this abuse is going to go on for years. I want to have somebody on site who does the counselling. I want to have things in place that weren't there for me. I want the people to know, no matter where you come from in life, that there is a door that will always be open for you.
And what about Rebecca herself?
Rebecca, myself, I would love to be settled down.
In a relationship?
I would. And I mean a proper relationship.
Mm-hmm.
One
One that you deserve.
Yes. And I would like to have got to a stage within myself that my trauma doesn't dictate to how I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all I can ask for, I don't want mediocre, I just want okay. I want to absolutely smash it out of the water. But I also want to become the person that I feel I always should have. I want to become skinnier, prettier, fitter, better looking.
We all want that. We all want that.
But I want to become the Rebecca that I know I can be.
Well, I can clearly see the Rebecca that you are.
Thank you.
And that's underneath all the layers of the trauma and the things that have happened to you. I feel that...
Just a girl who wants to live in her 30s.
And I feel that the Rebecca, I think you're a beautiful person. I think your heart is massive. I think the bravery, I have never met anyone as brave as you before ever. And I've met a lot of people in my life, Rebecca, who have been through some traumas and tragedies. I've never met anybody as brave as you. For speaking, not only speaking out, but trying to push forward with your life and achieving in spite of those people and what has happened to
I have
you.
a lot of people against me, believe it or not. A lot of ones from my past that are bitter and don't feel that I should be doing TikTok shop videos or going out and spending time with friends or happy. But they're the same people who wished you well at the start. But now, you know, some people say I'm gaining too much confidence in videos.
But then, Rebecca, you know, it's the same case. I'll draw a comparison of a bully.
Oh,
A bully will always want you below their level. So whilst they felt you were below their level, they were happy to, you know, gee you on and cheer you on and be your cheerleaders. But once they feel you're starting to rise above them, which is not what you're doing at all. You've always been there, Rebecca.
Yeah.
You know, you were never down there. You've always been there.
And thinking about it, it is the ones who bullied me that are against me.
And that's what a classic bully does. needs to do.
Yeah.
And that's because of how they feel where they are in the pecking order or where they are in the line. So I think, that doesn't define you. I think your trauma definitely doesn't define you. And I think the labels will eventually wear off. If you handle something so much, eventually the label will wear off. And I think it's just something that it comes part and parcel, and whether we have intentionally done it or not, I think it's just something that has to come along with
when you're progressing in life.
Yeah. And no matter what we go through. But I think for you, I can see in your future that drop-in centre being a success and happening, because I think to me you're the type of lady that will not let it go.
No, I don't
and
think
that
I
will
will.
Achieve. And I will manifest that for you as well.
Thank you.
I think you're a really inspiring, beautiful person and one smart lady.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the very best. I want you to stick around if you feel that you want to. I'm going to play a song and we'll come back to Niamh Quinn from Advocacy. Look, I'll get there eventually, I'm going to play this for Rebecca. This is Unstoppable Sia.
Oh, I love
because this is how I feel Rebecca is. She's unstoppable.
Let's do brunch with Alex J on Pulse Online Radio today. Friends worldwide, one airwave. Let's do brunch with Alex J.
And welcome back to Let's Do Brunch with Alex J. You're listening on Thursday, the 12th of March. Would you believe it's 6 degrees outside? It feels like -6 today. And the rain has been horrendous. So it has. You've been listening to Rebecca Whyte, a very, very brave young lady. And I am so honoured that she agreed to come along today when I invited her. I'm so happy to have met you, Rebecca, and to hear your story. I've heard your story in terms of I've listened to the podcasts and I've watched you online on TikTok, but actually to see you face to face and meet you in person, beyond my expectations of the type of person you must be. Now,
It's been lovely.
I have also in the studio, and we met last year. We met last year. Niamh Quinn from Advocacy. You said
it right.
BSV. Yes, I'm doubting myself. Just make sure microphone there. Yes, I'm having I think I'm practicing with someone else's teeth today. It's just not happening for me today. So Niamh, you've been here the whole time. Rebecca's been here and speaking. And could you tell us first of all about your charity?
Of course.
And what you do?
And I suppose maybe just before I start, Alex J and Rebecca, amazing. I have sat here for the duration of the show in utter awe of yourself, Rebecca. And I know we chatted off mic about imposter syndrome, and this girl beside me has absolutely no need whatsoever to ever feel like that. Her words are so powerful, and I have no doubt that you have touched many of your listeners here today, Alex J. You yourself, Alex J, running this show and bringing such sensitive topics like this to the air is amazing. So I'm delighted to be here today.
It's very emotional day now. Yeah. It's been very, and I spoke to, before you came, Rebecca, I spoke to Niamh and he says, you just got to hold it together. Because even before you came, when I got really emotional. I was like, oh, I need to hold this together today, because I don't want you to think that it's so upsetting that it's upsetting me so much. Do you know, a lot of it comes from just being proud of you, Rebecca. And I know we don't really know each other, but actually to meet someone who's a stranger to me and feel so proud of them.
Thank you.
And that's how I feel. And I know that, because I know a lot of my listeners, and I know that's how they're going to feel about you as well.
Thank you.
So sorry, Niamh,
No, not at all.
You carry on.
I had said as well that, I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago that Rebecca presented to, and you could have heard a pin drop. She is such an approachable, authentic, genuine person, and her words and your experiences and the way you're dealing with it and the way you're navigating your way through it, it's just inspiring, and
Thank
you are
you.
going to do so well. And this, the hostel that you chat about setting up, you're going to do that, and that's going to be supporting so many people. So you should be so proud.
And so should you, because you are both amazing as well.
Thank
and
you.
I've loved every minute.
Thank you. So I suppose, Alex, you've asked me there about Advocacy VSV and the work that we do. So Advocacy VSV is a charity that I set up back in 2018, and it's to support and advocate on behalf of both males and females who have at some stage throughout their lives been impacted by sexual violence. So the advocacy side of our job is to support and enable decisions around the criminal justice system. So a lot of our clients come in at those very early stages of not knowing what they want to do. So our advice and guidance is around supporting them figure it out. What does the criminal justice system look like? What does reporting look like? We do a lot of preparative work for helping them get ready to do their statements, and then obviously for court. And we would be in court with our clients. We now work off a hashtag called Standing with VSV.
Right.
And that is born from a client of mine as she was closing off said, "Thank you for standing with me for the hardest 2 weeks of my life." And that's the kind of gist of our work, is to be with them every step of the way.
Because there isn't that out there.
There isn't that out there. I worked for, prior to setting up Advocacy VSV, worked within the criminal justice system, and within that became so aware of the phenomenal gaps within the criminal justice system here in Northern Ireland for victims. It is very much a perpetrator-led system, and I wanted to change that.
It's
and I
not
think
victim-driven
not
at all.
victim-focused at all, not at all. And so our charity is very much victim focused. It is very much about giving victims their voice, letting them know that they have choices, letting them know that they have decisions. The other side of our work, alongside the advocacy side of our work, is very much centred around sexual trauma. We are experienced now within that field of sexual trauma. It is a very complex type of trauma. It carries with it huge complexities that victims need: time, patience, understanding, empathy. They need all of that in abundance to help them navigate their way through trauma. So that's what the emotional side of our work is, and that's what our one-to-one sessions will largely focus on. It's around helping our clients assess what their lives now look like as a result of this crime. Sexual trauma, unlike many other types of trauma, will erode away. It will erode away your whole sense of self-worth and self-confidence, and our clients lose themselves. And it's about rebuilding that and taking time to rebuild that. So we don't put a time frame on our service. We don't put a number to how many sessions we are going to see somebody. We could potentially be working with people for maybe 6 months up to 3 or 4 years. The criminal justice system here in Northern Ireland will last 2.5 years. That person...
Mine lasted nearly 3,
Yeah,
so it's wild.
and that's reality. Lots of people will enter this system, and the police and other organisations fail to keep expectations real. And
because
the
they're
police,
not real with
they're
them
not
at the
real.
start.
And
They
that's
try to
a
lie to you.
huge, that is a massive struggle for our clients. If the organisations that are in place to support people kept it real, then recovery and that journey would be much more
Because you
straightforward.
can't tell. I remember, and I said to my mum, no matter how far on I am in my recovery, until this court case is finished, I will never heal.
Yeah.
And I've probably healed more in the last 6 months. But I had to check the dates he was up in court. I wasn't told. The dates were put back so many times. There's no one-on-one.
Yes.
And then if it is, it's Women's Aid, who maybe, as much as they're brilliant, don't have the experience that you and your charity do, where you can come in. Like, I remember sitting writing my victim impact statement on my own. And you were basically pulled into a room with your prosecution service who was fighting your case, because we didn't need a solicitor, obviously. And, like, they're there for the charges. There's no one there to hold your hand.
There's no relationship
and that's why so
there,
many victims
Rebecca.
can't go through it.
And that's why so many victims will withdraw the complaint. There is no one person sitting with them. There's no relationship. You go into court and you meet the person who's presenting your case on behalf of the Public Prosecution Service, if you are lucky, a week before, a day before,
or the day
of. And that's just not on. So there's no, I completely understand victims of this crime, they need trusting relationships.
Because trust is something
Trust
we don't have.
You don't have it. You don't have it. And Control is massive for our clients. We work in a way and in a manner and in a speed that they control and that they manage and that they can cope with. The criminal justice system is a system that takes legs of its own and will run at a speed that isn't victim focused, but our victims, without the likes of ourselves, are left in silence. They are left, nobody communicates with them, nobody tells them what is happening. Services like ourselves and other organisations that's slowly building are trying to change that.
Yeah.
You know, we are constantly lobbying for change within the criminal justice system, and as long as there's breath in my body, that is what I will continue to do.
And you're the only trusting people some
in
of
that
us
person's
victims
life.
have to go to.
Yeah. And it's massive for people.
Especially
it is massive
people,
for people.
No families, maybe no home. Like a lot of girls are homeless going through this as well. There isn't the intake. There's not a refuge. Like I remember being in a tent while giving my ABE interviews. Well, some of these men that were serious threats were driving past my tent at night to see if I was talking to anybody. Like, and then when I did get housed somewhere, it was in Londonderry, and I was on my own after the worst time in my life. And then a lot of hostels don't take you in because you're not safeguarded, because it's too much risk for the other women. So if they put you in there and the men come after you, they're risking the whole hostel, and half the time you will not get housed.
That's
Even
to
women's
me,
aid.
that's unbelievable.
It's
Like
a whole
that
different
is.
side that people just don't know about.
No.
Yeah.
And do you want me to tell you, it's because they don't want you to know.
Yeah.
See, if I actually told you some of the things that were done to some of me and the other victims, the way we were left, I found out what charges that man had done on me with a letter through my door. I knew what had happened and the police had to come and speak to me. But I got the court papers, a file posted through by Royal Mail of every charge he had ever done to me.
And Niamh, that's something that you look at when you have your victims or survivors with you and your clients. Is that something that you find is something how they're being handled in the system? It's something that you find is one of the biggest stumbling blocks for them?
It is one. There's quite a number of stumbling blocks for victims within the criminal justice system here.
But this is right from the very offset,
From the very offset.
Yeah.
People are going in to complete what's called an ABE. An ABE is achieving best evidence, and that's where a victim of this crime is recorded, and that becomes their evidence in chief within the court trial. People are going in to be brought through that interview naive. They don't know what that ABE is. They don't know how it is facilitated. They don't know what is expected of them. And so quite often they will come out feeling, I didn't do a good job, or I didn't do it properly.
Mentally draining,
emotionally draining, but
with no support.
And there is such a gap there where victims are not told, they are not informed enough about what an ABE is and how much it actually influences how this case is going to progress. If you are not getting out the right evidence and the right words, there won't be enough evidence for the prosecution to bring this to court, and the matters are dropped. If a person is fully informed about what that ABE looks like, what it's going to feel like, what it entails, they are going in prepared and they do a better job.
And this is where your charity can really
start.
really help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
like, you're in a room with a police officer and being recorded with a camera in your face, knowing another police officer is in the room next door with a camera and listening to every word you say.
So for anybody,
every detail.
For anyone listening that is potentially going through a trauma themselves at the moment, or feels that they are a victim of something like this, there is steps that can be taken. So one, contacting Advocacy VSV, whether that be online or whether that be through the phone number, because you can hold a person's hand going through that
from those very early stages.
Unlike Rebecca, where she felt she was on her own.
Like,
and
so
in
many
the interviews, you're in, like, if I done my interviews now, see how much more evidence they would have. Because at the first in the ABE, your main thing is human trafficking, what that entails, what happened, and certain situations, I'm being honest, the police were aware about, but I could never speak on through fear.
Yes.
There's some things even to this day that I dread if it ever comes out. Not because I've told it, but because they have footage, years, evidence.
Yeah.
And it does worry me with the people that it could come out about, because then people are going to come for me and think I'm the one that's opened my mouth. But if I could give my interview now, oh my goodness, them men would have had 20 times more charges than what they had. And I think every victim goes through that.
Of course they do.
Because you're panicking
And this
on
is-
what to say.
This is where you would advise and literally take someone by the hand through that process.
And we would arrange it for them. You know, picking up a phone or receiving a phone call from the police. They're such an authoritarian body. And we find the minute hi Rebecca, it's Constable such and such. Your heart is beating that fast out of anxiety, out of fear, out of unknown. You don't hear anything that comes out of that police officer.
And if you've a
You don't
history
hear it.
with police through your addiction, through getting arrested for shoplifting,
It's worse.
it's even
So
worse,
it's-
especially the police that didn't believe it was happening to you,
Yeah.
Okay.
that are now
the-
investigating.
So many will come off the phone going, I've just had a call from my police officer. I didn't hear one word that they said. So we are that intermediary. We are that point of contact. So we liaise with the police on our client's behalf. And then in a softer version, on a face-to-face, in our contacts, we then are in a position to relay the information in a more user-friendly manner, using words that clients understand.
Layman's terms.
Layman's
Yes.
terms. And that's what we do the entire way through.
That's amazing.
And so, you know, if there's other criminal justice bodies involved, if there's other statutory services involved, we will liaise with all of them to, one, make sure that our clients are fully informed of everything, but also to hold other services to account for what they are to do for our clients in the journey throughout the criminal justice system. So there's two sides of that. But I suppose then on the lead up to court, does anybody know what a Crown Court trial looks like? Does anybody know what that entails? And no, they don't. So people are going in again naive.
Blindfolded.
This time though to a Crown Court trial where they have to, and I'm using this word in inverted commas, perform. They have to be a good victim.
Yeah.
They have to be a good victim. They have to get the right evidence across.
And you can't bite
And you
if they say anything to you, because then they'll go in for you.
Yes.
And like if you have any history with police, well sure, you're not reliable. You're tore apart. I was tore apart. His lawyer sitting saying, are you sure you just didn't enjoy the sex? And I'm sitting going, I understand that's their job. But I had no women's aid worker there. I had my mum. And I met the prosecution service that day, 2 minutes before we walked into court.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there going, oh my God. And I remember the first time BBC, the first time in April, I couldn't speak. I collapsed nearly in the court, shaking. Police wanted me to leave. I was so triggered. Something changed to me. He laughed at me. And I went out of that court and I went to the gym every single day for 4 months. And I walked into that court in August or in September like a different person. See, the people don't realise. And then in the High Court, if it goes to the High Court from the Crown, there's no box. My dad was there, I was here, and Oliver was there. My dad could have reached him.
It's like sitting across the table from
Yeah.
for you from me now.
That is not like that. It just blows my mind. Now, at the end, I wanted to look at him in the eye, because for me, some victims need closure. I wanted to look at him and just stare at him, and just without crumbling or shaking. But there was some girls that were still trapped in addiction that physically were turning up to court, you know, off their head. And listen, I'm being honest, if I didn't have the support I did, I probably would have done the same. But it's to cope.
Yeah.
Because it's you're literally a wee fish in a massive ocean. And it's a ripple effect, because once one victim sees one victim crumble and sees how they're tore apart, that's why a lot of the girls didn't end up coming to the court case with me, because they physically they couldn't take, like, some of the things that are countered at you is horrendous.
And it is, and I totally back up what Rebecca's saying there. it is horrendous what victims have to go through. And we would try our very best to prepare our clients for what it is and what's ahead. And again, I don't know if any words of wisdom or experience can ever prepare you for that to the extent that it's going to be.
But it can make you aware.
You can certainly make them aware of the tones that's used. And I always say to my clients, it's not necessarily the words that it's the tone that the defence barristers come at. They're very good at being sarcastic, condescending. So if we have helped our clients prepare for that and to try to listen to the words and avoid the tone, then they're going to do much better. But it's those wee things that nobody knows about until you're in that situation and until you are being supported by the likes of yourselves that can offer that in-depth advice and guidance. We arrange for our clients now. We would always push that our clients would meet with the prosecution a week or two before. We are with them then and arrange to make sure that they are brought back up to watch their ABE a few days before, all in prep. Because somebody does, and you never got to do that. Those are all the gaps that nobody knows about. I had forgot what was coming out.
I was going to say that it must be, because obviously it's not just a physical trauma, the emotional and the mental trauma of
Pandora's
it.
box was
When you
open to me, and
you probably vaguely remember your actual interview and what you said and what you didn't say.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
And then remember, you do have the passage of time as well.
Yes.
The criminal justice system in Northern Ireland is very, very slow.
It could be years.
Things I forgot as well.
It could be years, as you say, Alex J. It's years.
Yeah.
So, and nobody likes listening to themselves talk. Nobody likes watching themselves talk. Never mind talk about something so sensitive.
Yeah.
And that's what our clients are having to do if we don't get to watch the ABE for the first time in years in a courtroom where other people are watching it. That's their evidence, you see. So that's what clients...
You're seeing it for the first time as well.
So it's all those little gaps that we work really hard to fill so that our clients are better prepared for court. And as I've said off mic here today, Alex J, court's just part of somebody's journey.
Yeah.
Court is just...
I was going to ask you that, Niamh, because Rebecca's here today and she has said a few times about the after effects and the after support, and a lot of things that she's had to do for herself or from someone else who's not a professional reaching out to her. With your charity, so obviously the court, I'm going to say after the court, so it's not even that, because as we said, that can take years. But say in Rebecca's position where somebody has been convicted, and then it's all the things putting in place after that to help you on the road to recovery. Is that something that your charity then continues to work with your client and continue to do that?
Very much. So we only ever step out of somebody's journey when they tell us we're ready.
Okay.
So as I say, there's certainly longevity there with our charity.
Would it be worthwhile, Rebecca, talking to somebody in your
Absolutely.
in your organisation?
Rebecca has said here today, she's supported quite, you do a lot of work with charities. But absolutely, not all of our clients, Alex J, are moving through the criminal justice system. Some of them can't. Some of them have, but then either withdrew or maybe the PPS have decided that they aren't going to prosecute.
Too long and you can't deal with it.
So there's lots of different people. We support a wide variety of people, and it's something that I want to back up from you two ladies talking today. Everybody is so very, very different. There is no one particular type of victim. They come from all walks of life. One commonality is that they have all been impacted in some way by sexual violence, but not one person is the same. Everybody is so individualised, and that's the beauty of our work, is that we get to sit with people and meet them where they are.
But that's the same with the girls in the case. Like, all us girls, even though it was by the same men, a lot of stuff that happened to me and some of the original girls, excuse me, didn't happen to the girls that came after. Yes, the rape did, but I'm talking about, really sadistic stuff. Yeah. And I'm glad, because I wouldn't wish it on anybody else. But even though we had the same being drugged with heroin and trafficked, there's so many... our stories, like my story is so different to somebody else's. Their story's different to mine. And I think as well, what's hard when you've so many victims, like a trafficking case, the police focus on the commonalities instead of sometimes looking and going, well, this happened. And now they're looking into the more like hierarchies and breaking all the whole trafficking down. Like any type of abuse, I find there's enablers. Everybody's against the man who abused you until it's your husband, until it's your or their brother, until it's their boyfriend who done it, or someone they know. And I understand it's not nice hearing what maybe your son or your daughter or your husband or your wife have done, but it takes so much for victims to come forward. And as you know, going into the justice system and the court system is not for the faint-hearted. I made a decision, like, you have to, and I thought, this can either make or break me. And I am being serious, at some points it nearly broke me. And I don't know how I stayed clean through it. I think it's a lot to do with my medication. But I think when you reach a stage in that criminal justice in your court case where you go, screw it, I'm not playing around anymore. And they see a change in you, and that's when perpetrators worry, because women will get to a stage where there's no screws given, and they will get to a stage in their recovery.
Enough's enough.
Enough's enough.
And that is very true in a lot of situations. But in the thing that just popped into my head there, because you were talking about, you know, how a survivor or a victim feels. Sometimes I'm a bit reserved. I don't know whether to address you as a victim, because I don't see. Yes, this happened to you, but your attitude and how you're moving on. You're a survivor,
100%.
you know, and you are beginning to thrive, and not for anything but than your own determination. But I wanted to ask Niamh, because we had talked briefly before the show about the effect it has on family members and people around, because Rebecca said it's okay until it's your brother or your husband or someone belonging to you, and we had said about, you know, as a mother. So if I was your mother, Rebecca, or your aunt or your friends, you know, do you work with the relations and the families of the people that this happens to, Niamh? And if so, you know, I can only imagine the guilt, that unnecessary guilt and unawarded guilt, because it's something that I don't feel. I know that people out there might be listening going, I would know if my daughter that was happening, and I would know, but it's the same as it's the same to me as if a paedophile was coming into your home and, you know, subjecting your child
And you don't know.
to the trauma, and that's not always noticed, and very rarely ever noticed until it's too late. And to me, this is a very similar scenario, and why a relation or a mother or a father of someone who has been subjected to this, your parents in particular, Rebecca, why they shouldn't feel a heavy guilt. And also why you shouldn't feel, Rebecca, a heavy guilt to what's happened to you.
100%.
And I'm just wondering,
I
Niamh.
struggle with.
Of course it is.
Like, I wake up and it's the first time I actually feel like sorrow, like it's a sinking feeling to your stomach, like guilt.
Guilt
is the
of
reason for a lot of suicides, I think, when people get clean.
Is it the guilt? Do you feel guilt because of the
A lot of
domino
pain
effect?
Yes, because what kills me is my nanny. She got to see me. She died 3 months after I got clean, but my last years with her were worrying about staying away from her house so the men wouldn't go near the home. And these, like Oliver told my nanny one time, he was a social worker, and that's why I was at the door and he was trying to help me. Like, these men have every answer they want. And when these men have power, they have friends. Oliver drove about the place for years, and I never heard him get a threat. Nobody questioned what he was doing. Nothing like that. And I don't care what anybody says, and it's something that I'll never go into. But protection comes from somewhere. Who give him the authority to just go about and do that? The same way, like, men think it's okay to lift their hand. And I think my mum and dad for 7 years worried if there was a knock at the door after a certain time at night, that was me going to be told they need to come and identify me. Like, my mum and dad got a phone call twice. We're basically told, listen, you are going to be identifying her. And the doctor said to my dad, there's no medical reasons. If she was an animal, she'd be in a lab. There's no medical reason why she should be breathing. And they had overdosed me on buds and Xanax, and I'd never took them before, and was basically passing away. I'd been lying in the sick in my lungs for 6 hours, and when I was in a hostel, they checked on me an hour and a half early. The man got a sickness feeling over him because somebody was involved in it, and came up and found me at 7:15, and the check wasn't until 9. The ambulance got there. I think my heart rate was 27. I was completely flatlined. Had to restart me, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, even when I got out of that, my mum and dad didn't know what was going on with me. Couldn't have had me at the house at that time, so I went back to the exact room in the same hostel after telling the housing what had happened to me. Nowhere else would take me.
So do
Sent
you?
back to Queen's Quarter, like.
So for your parents, then, Rebecca, you know, your mum's not here to be able to speak for herself, but for your parents, how are they coping with, and how do they feel now?
My mum and dad are probably just so happy at the minute because they have me back. They worry a lot, and I don't think that worry will ever leave them. They're probably more overprotective than they've ever been, because all they know is we were loved. We were given love. They were protective, very open parents. I could have went in and told my dad the first time I lost my virginity. That's how open our family was. There was nothing you could never say or do. And I think for them, going from having a 19, 20-year-old so bubbly, a job, a house, a car, and then for the next 10 years of our life, wonder whether you're going to get a knock at the door. My mum sat away a week for nights checking I was online on Facebook to make sure I was alive. Like, what these men done to them. They may not have physically touched them, but mentally they raped my parents.
So that's the key to it, Rebecca, is what they did to your parents, not what you did or what you put your parents through. It's what they did to your parents. And Niamh, when you're, I don't know, do you call them clients?
Yes,
clients.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking to your clients, you know, do you find that that's quite a common thing?
Yes,
that
very much so. I suppose the three biggies that a lot of my clients is blame, shame and guilt. And those would be the three big emotions.
So they blame themselves. They're
The
ashamed.
shame of it
And then they feel guilt.
And then they feel guilt, a lot of self-guilt.
Because
you'll blame yourself.
I should have left earlier.
Yeah.
So we have to work through all of that with our clients. And then obviously the aftermath of what has it done to my family. And that sits very heavily with them. But you have to get over that barrier first of, I done something that caused this. This is my fault. I should have left early. I should have known. I should have known what was happening to me. I should have been strong enough. I should have fought them off.
Shouldn't have been scared.
All of this. And this takes months and months of therapeutic intervention to help them take the next step forward. But everything that Rebecca has said there is so validated and is so understandable. Yeah. Everything that you talk about. If you have experience and knowledge of what sexual trauma is, this girl, everything that this girl says is so validated, it's so understood, it's so true, and it's so genuine. And so many people that's listening to your show today will bounce off this. This is going to resonate with them, and they are hopefully going to reach out and say, I need a wee bit of help.
And it doesn't matter if you're listening and you haven't been trafficked. If you, any sexual abuse, you're connected to somebody with any sexual trauma. It doesn't matter whether I've been trafficked or you were raped once. Assault is assault. Never minimise your journey and go, well, somebody went through it worse. No, because right at that time in your life, that was the worst time in your life, right? You bounced back from that. So don't minimise it to anybody else. You pulled yourself back from the absolute depths. And reaching out, trust me, I'm not going to tell you when you reach out for help, life gets better. Because it doesn't, and I will never, ever, and that's why I show the very true signs of trauma. Because there's weeks I can go and be on a high, and then bam, I go through not being able to watch a dog on the TV without crying because of the trauma. Or I go back in last week, my anxiety went to the point I was nearly ringing the doctor and saying, you need to put me back on a short course of diazepam. It hits you in waves.
Yeah, healing isn't linear. It's
No,
not straightforward.
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Healing
is
is
not
harder to
straightforward.
do than not to deal
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
And I found when I didn't deal with it, yes, my mental health was bad, but you could brush it under the rug. Where now, especially if any victims have come from addiction while the abuse, you're so numb to it. So when the drugs leave, your head's an overload and you don't know how to cope with it.
So I reached out to the Public Prosecution Service to ask if, because they've got a whole team there, I'm sure we're both aware of it, the human trafficking team and modern slavery.
That's right, that's who I work with,
So I had reached out to them to ask if they would send a representative today, and they had tried to do that. We were trying to match up the dates for all of us to get together. And then because we settled on this date, it didn't suit them there. How they put it to me was they're very understaffed.
I spoke to them, they were actually at Nexus as well, so they were 2
Some of
weeks
the
ago.
PPS members.
Yeah.
So
Chatted to them too.
although they're unable to provide an interview for today, they have issued a statement by the PPS Senior Public Prosecutor, Kirsten McKevitt.
Right, okay.
Okay, so I feel that it's a blanket statement, Rebecca, not directly to your case, but I don't know if it'll make any difference at all or whether, but I would like to read it out, but while we've still time for you to discuss it, even between yourself, Niamh and Rebecca, and see.
Interested to actually hear it.
So the statement reads, we take the issue of human trafficking and modern slavery extremely seriously and recognise the terrible impact it has on victims. These are very complex and often hidden crimes. Victims can be exploited in different ways, often including sexual abuse. Vulnerable people are targeted and exploited by predatory individuals and organised crime groups for financial gain. Types of exploitation which are often linked include sexual exploitation, forced labour and slavery and servitude. We want to acknowledge the immense bravery of all victims of this type of offending. Our policy for prosecuting cases of modern slavery and human trafficking explains our approach to these cases, including the support available for victims. We also have specially trained human trafficking prosecutors who appreciate how difficult it can be for victims to come forward to police to report their experiences and seek justice. We work with police to build cases and where there is enough evidence seek prosecutions through the courts. We have successfully prosecuted cases involving allegations of human trafficking. This would be very difficult without the victims coming forward to police. There is no time limit on crimes of this nature, and no matter when the crime happened, victims can come forward to police and report it. You will be treated sensitively and with respect at all times by dedicated police and prosecutors. So for guidance, they've added a note. The PPS works closely with the PSNI's Modern Slavery Unit, Trafficking Unit, which provides information on their websites for victims, such as how to spot signs of modern slavery. And this, they've included the link, which I'll put on. I've also included the number on the Facebook pages. And they've literally put at the bottom, this may provide useful material for the programme today. The PSNI may be better placed to speak on air about this. Now, I did contact the PSNI and got no response whatsoever.
Well, I'm going to be honest, that statement, I would love to know where the hell they were when I was going through it.
Well, this is why
Because
I felt now is the time to read it out.
I'll be really honest here, and I'm sorry I'm past the stage of watching what I say to offend people. There's no support. There was nothing. I was brought in for an IB interview and not seen again by a police officer for 2 years
Okay.
while the court case was going on. Only the fact that my mother searched up Oliver McCormick's name is how we knew what date I had to be in court. I was given no counselling. I was given no support. And I know the modern slavery team, do not get me wrong. Rory, Andy Hull now, who does talks on this and who was in the documentary, that is the type of police officer that needs to be on them streets. Response officers, the prosecution service, if you work very closely with them, you would really need to relook at that, because there is no training. We are known as heroin addicts who are sleeping with men. Response officers, who are meant to be the very ones protecting you, use their badge and authority. And again, all you have to do is look at the paper this week of a chief superintendent losing his badge because he was paying for sexual services through it. There was another police officer that got 10 years to do with running the brothels. I have notes over the years of how many phone calls I made to the PPS. Flourish had to make 23 phone calls for me over a period of 4 weeks for victim support, to phone me back 6 months later and then tell me I could put a form in 3 years after I'd reported the crime.
You're nodding your head there, Niamh. Obviously, you've experience of this as well.
Yeah.
This is something that's quite common.
Yeah.
And I just want to.
Unfortunately so.
Oh, listen. If the prosecution ever wants to come on this show and sit and talk to me and explain to me why 13 girls were let down, why girls weren't looked at in their addiction to the point they're in the ground because they couldn't deal, because there was no support whatsoever, and you're letting us back out to the very men that trafficked us, and now you're bailing the traffickers to Belfast. But sure, if the public prosecution service have it under wraps, well then sure they must.
So I can see that that's triggered you.
Oh,
Your anger.
It actually gets me so angry.
Yeah.
Because that is lies. That
Okay.
statement.
And Rebecca and Niamh, we'd said at the very top of the show that there's been no case like this ever before. So when we're talking about maybe lack of experience, is it down to that, or is it literally down to the resources?
They got me in to train police. They got me to come in several days because they don't know how to train them. I had to sit with a camera in my face, and police officers who had been in this and who had been supposedly trained didn't even know what trafficking meant.
The human trafficking team, Niamh, you may be able to tell me, is it just members of the PSNI? Is that all that it is? Or do they have anyone like Rebecca with experience, or like yourself, Niamh, involved? Do you feel that they should have?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to do this job, as I have reiterated throughout today, sexual violence and sexual trauma is so different to other types of offences. If you are going to be supporting victims through the criminal justice system, you need to know your stuff. You need to know what this is going on.
So it needs
you need
to
know how to talk to people.
There's no
you need
empathy.
to know how to address people. And the police, to answer that question, Alex J, they are police officers just trained in a different field, and they are progressing through. But they are officers who have, at one stage in their lives, been out there on the street, moving through the different teams within the
there's no one
organisation.
There's no one. So it's within that within the PSNI, but there's no outside influence into that human trafficking team.
Within
no advisors.
Not that I am aware of.
Okay.
Now the police would say that the police that work within the rape crime unit and the public protection unit, which is the units that we would deal with largely, they say that they are trained and that they do have specialisms within the world of sexual violence to support victims better. Within the human trafficking field, I don't know, and that's being honest. I don't know what their training is. I don't know what that looks like.
There's no person you're giving the investigators officer's number. You can wait week to 2 weeks for your phone calls. Yeah. He actually phoned me last month saying, I just got your message. And I said, what message? He says, oh sorry, you sent it 6 weeks ago. Do not get me wrong, modern slavery team, the ones who helped me, were they great? But when response officers make jokes about you when you're sitting in the car, she's just another junkie. There's no training, there's no empathy. There is no, and to be honest with you as well, I find it very strange, men being the first port of contact to go to in a human trafficking team for a woman.
So your experience was that it wasn't a woman that
No.
came? And to me, you
Okay,
see...
there was a woman, but it was 4 men who came looking for me.
Okay,
And then women arrived on a response unit.
okay.
The trafficking team, now will I tell you this, see Rory, the head of the trafficking team, and Andy Hull, who now speaks out, these are passionate men
And that's what
who
you need.
want to
And
help.
That's what you
And
need.
I will say that with the best will in my world.
So is it...
They made up for what the prosecution let me down on.
Okay, so we're talking about the human trafficking team as such, as the unit that has been set up, and you're saying that the 2 guys that are running that
yes.
are brilliant at what they're
Because
doing,
they're trying to
but they
get
need resources.
advocates. They've no resources.
Okay,
They have nothing. And like, they will be honest with you, but also there's some police that want to deal with the case, and that's just it.
okay,
A lot of police are now concentrating on getting a win of guilty rather than the actual effects and what has happened.
yeah,
You know, there's no point coming to me and saying, tell me what happened, if you don't want to know all the information. You know, you can't just say, okay, well, I don't want to know about all the abuse you went through. Can you just tell me were you human trafficked or not? That's not...
yeah.
That's not training. That isn't... Victims need to feel there is confidence with the men and women that are dealing with your case. And I'm sorry, but there's not. And it's not always down to the police themselves. There's some police who want to, but I can tell you now that PSNI needs a complete shake-up and a rehaul.
Well, first of all, you don't need to say you're sorry, you don't need to apologise, because these are your real experiences, Rebecca, and I want to say thank you for sharing them with us today, because I just feel like a whole world has opened up to me that I would have been closed off to. I admire you so much, but to feel proud of a stranger the way that you've made me feel proud of you, Rebecca, is a testament to the person that you are.
Thank you.
How far you've already come, and I know you've got a long journey ahead of you. I can only wish you the very, very best, and I hope that at some stage in the future our paths cross again.
100%.
And whether that be on a personal level, or whether that be you reaching out and saying, can you help me with this? If I can, I absolutely will. Whatever you need me to do, I will do it.
I'll even give you the information of the meetups. My podcast comes out tomorrow.
I will broadcast them, certainly.
And we're going to start doing meetups for men and women.
I think maybe, if it's okay, we'll come back in a while down the line, maybe after the summertime, and maybe meet up again and have a little catch up to see where you're at and how things are progressing.
I'd love that.
Niamh, just because we literally have a few minutes left, can you just, if you want to summarise, or do you want to, is there anything that you would like to highlight or put out to the listeners, or anything that we've missed today that you feel we need to talk about?
Like, you're so important for victims. I want to say thank you on behalf of victims, because it's people like yourself that put like your heart and soul into it that gets us through the court cases.
Well, thank you, Rebecca, for saying that. And that is it. It's heart that is at the guts of the charity, and it's hard work, and it's determination, and it's empathy and understanding to victims, and that is what we are about. It's, you know, and if anybody is listening out there that has been impacted by this crime, everything that they're feeling, everything that they're thinking, everything that they're experiencing is so valid, it's so understood, and all, well, when I say all they need to do, which is really hard when you're in the trenches of it, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. There's support there. The support that we provide is tailor-made, it's bespoke, it will work at a pace that you control.
I'll put up all the links on the social media, so the Let's Do Brunch Facebook page and also the Pulse Online Facebook page. We'll get it up there at some stage today. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, because it's honestly, it's just something else to be able to share this. And Rebecca, you deserve the life
I'm so glad
that's ahead
my
of you.
first time on the radio was with a woman like you. So honestly, thank yous to both, because you're
Thanks.
both incredible women.
Thank
And
you.
we Liz that have brought us you too.
And thank you, Liz, for driving today and being. And also want to say thank you to Karen for making the tea and dishing out the
Yes,
sandwiches
definitely,
there.
'cause she's
And
been
also,
great.
Karen has also been guarding the door for you today.
She has, my
And
personal officer.
she'll make sure that you leave Lisburn as you came in.
I know.
And listen, I'm going to leave you with a song, and it's called "The Eye of the Tiger."
Aww.
Thank you to everyone that's listening today. This is Alex J with Let's Do Brunch. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Alex J.
Thank